Alright, it's Mike Redacted. Days Gone was a zombie open world game which was met with a mixed response when it first came out, but I think that the game is actually a diamond in the dirt, and today I'm going to explain why Days Gone deserves a sequel, Days Gone 2. Despite clearly being a zombie game, the zombies in Days Gone are not called zombies, they're called freakers, so whenever I'm saying freakers, I'm basically referring to the zombies. Days Gone was an open world game set in Oregon, United States of America. Unlike other zombie games, it was set in the countryside in the beautiful mountains with lots of picturesque scenes. There was a unique horde system in the game where you could hunt down and track and kill vast numbers of freakers which all moved together in a very fluid way, and sometimes you would even dynamically run into them. The main mode of transport in the game was the motorbike, and basically the whole game revolved around the motorbikes. These are just some of the things which makes Days Gone a unique zombie game. It's not just another cookie cutter piece of shit zombie game that they can fire out of a game studio in 5 minutes, shovelware shit. It's a good game, and this is reflected in the Steam reviews. The Steam reviews are very positive. Days Gone was originally released on PS4 in April of 2019. The game's launch was an absolute fucking catastrophe, and this was mainly due to quite a repetitive gameplay loop, which I will address later on, and also massive technical issues. I do think that Days Gone 2 could avoid the pitfalls of the first game and have a proper release and be a great game. So let's get into the reasons why Days Gone deserves a sequel, Days Gone 2. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to comment, rate and subscribe, and let me know in the comment section below what you thought. So let's get right into it and explain what were the strengths of Days Gone and why does it deserve an expansion in the first place. The setting of the game is somewhat unique, where most zombie games like Left 4 Dead and things like that are set in a city or some sort of densely populated area. Days Gone is set in the beautiful mountains of Oregon. Some of the locations in the game even exist, like Crater Lake, which is named Wizard Island in the game. And this strength is made even better by the absolutely beautiful graphics on PC at least. The game is an absolute joy to look at, and I'm sure in Days Gone 2 they could even shoehorn in RTX or some sort of AMD equivalent and make the game look even better. The storyline of Days Gone was essentially left on a cliffhanger as well, and we still haven't had an answer as to what happened with this cliffhanger. Basically what happened was O'Brien, one of the scientists, comes out of the helicopter, he takes off his mask and you can see he's mutated. He essentially says that Nero, who is the remnants of the US government, are using these mutations to mutate themselves. I think it would be really interesting to see where they could go with this storyline, and I'm sure that the writer had something in mind for Days Gone 2 when they wrote this ending. Even if the main character of Days Gone, Deacon St. John, is not in the next game, I think that many cool and interesting stories could be written within the same universe. Perhaps it would be quite cool to have a bit of a prequel where we play as someone during the fall when the freakers are starting to emerge and take over. We could see the main character of that theoretical game transition from a normal person to some sort of cutthroat survivor who'll do anything to survive. One of the characters in the Deschutes County militia did say that everything around the Mississippi River fell within 2 days, so this could be an already lore established, interesting place to set the next game where everything goes to absolute shit and the main character needs to fight for survival. I came up with that idea really quickly, so I'm sure the eggheads at Sony would be able to write something even better. During another cutscene with the scientist O'Brien, he also said that the freakers were evolving, which gives the developer space to introduce new zombie types which could come with new and interesting gameplay mechanics. There's near limitless potential what they could do with this. There could be slow freakers, which are more like zombies from The Walking Dead, only found in large groups, but they can only die from headshots. There could be freakers which spit acid. You know, just rip off any sorts of non-vanilla zombies and you can shoehorn them into the game. I feel like this universe has lots of potential for development. The parameters of the zombies and the game world aren't so set in stone that they can't do something new and interesting with it. I also really enjoyed the implementation of other mechanics within the game, such as the motorbike and the horde system. With the motorbike, you needed to manage the fuel and maintain your bike with scrap metal. The fuel system was quite good because it meant you needed to be tactical and kind of plan your journey around where fuel could be and stop off for fuel in places, and that could get you into trouble. Perhaps you stop off somewhere and you find out there's a horde waiting for you there. And the horde system was amazing, so good and interesting and terrifying at the same time. I remember one time I just rode my bike over a hill and I landed because there was a slight jump and I was just surrounded by a horde, and that adrenaline rush of running away from the horde and then turning around and collecting myself and being like, right, how can I kill these motherfuckers, and getting that done was so great. I loved that gameplay, and there's just no other games that have that sort of gameplay in it. Obviously Days Gone 1 was not a perfect game, and there are things that need to be improved on, so with this sequel, Days Gone 2, I'm hoping that there are some things that they can improve on. These are things that I'm about to list off now. First and foremost, they need to release the game without the technical issues which they had on the release of the original back in 2019. These days it seems like almost every game that's not an indie game is released in an absolute fucked state, and Days Gone 2 needs to avoid this and repent for their past mistakes by releasing a perfect, technically sound game. They also need to tie up the storyline. I really want to know where they were going with the storyline with O'Brien, St. John and Sarah Whitaker. There's lots of character development still to be done with Sarah Whitaker and O'Brien, as we didn't see much of them in the game. We were merely with the stoic and sarcastic bastard known as Deacon St. John. It would also be cool to see Nero play a much larger part in the next game. It has been 5 years since the initial release of Days Gone, and it will be many more years if they do make Days Gone 2 until it releases. And in that time, AI and technology in general has improved vastly. This could lead to improvements in the AI and the technical aspects of the game, such as making bigger and more dynamic hordes. Perhaps the hordes could even have tactics, like maybe they split apart and join up together to make super hordes. They could use basic tactics to try and corner the player, pushing them down dead-end paths, trying to trap them. The horde could position itself between the player and their motorbike perhaps, or even just try and ambush the player if the player uses a route or road very often. Maybe the horde could sit and wait there. That would be really cool. Let's be honest, the side quests in Days Gone are fucking shit. Like, there's no sugarcoating it at all. You go up to one person and you press the interact button and they're like, hey, there's this guy who killed someone in the camp, go and kill him and bring back the MacGuffin that he has on him. Everyone seems to have an item which can be uniquely identified to them. Red boots, a scarf, a fucking badge or some shit. These missions add absolutely nothing to the game other than just padding the game out to make it longer. I think that in Days Gone 2 there should be less quests, but they should be of a higher quality. The side quests should be used to try and build the universe up and flesh out the lore of the game, not just to try and push the player's playtime over a certain mark. Another consequence of the shit quests is the grinding to get camp rep as well, and I think they should try and cut down on the grinding of camp rep and instead focus on making the player do missions for the camp instead. Perhaps each camp could have its own unique problems in which the player needs to go through a quest line, as a bespoke quest line to try and solve. Obviously they can keep the bringing in ears and meat resources, stuff like that, but it should definitely play a much smaller role in Days Gone 2 than it does in Days Gone 1. Like 10 times of a smaller role. They should also release the game on PC at the same time as they release it on PS5 or PS6, whatever they're going to release it on. Obviously it's going to be some sort of PlayStation exclusive, so people who have Xboxes, sucks to be you unfortunately, but there's not much I can really do about that. Unless Xbox somehow manages to purchase this game studio and IP as well. It's clear that this game, whilst once being a bit of a pariah, has now become a fan favourite. The PC release was really good, and on Steam the game, as I said, is rated very positive, which is high praise, as people on Steam can be quite fucking brutal with a game, especially in Steam reviews. I think that if they had the fixes and technical aspects of the game up to scratch when the game released initially in 2019, this would be a completely different story, and PlayStation would not regard this as a failure. Unfortunately, from what I've heard, the studio behind Days Gone, I think it's Bend Studios, did pitch a Days Gone 2 to Sony themselves, but unfortunately Sony thought the game was a financial failure and they shot the idea down, perhaps even just shelved it. But it's not looking great for us right now, but we can only hope, with the PC release of the game showing that people are interested in the IP and are willing to buy the game, perhaps they'll change their mind and they'll actually make the game. So to sum it all up, what they need to do is they need to stick to what they're good at, cut out the shit side quests, cut out the fucking camp rep grind, and get some more horde system technology in there, cram it full of horde technology, because that's really the USP of the game, and they need to work on that, making it much better, more fun and dynamic to play with the hordes. There's so much potential in this game universe, and I really think that if Sony decide to do this, they could have a really successful game and perhaps even a really successful IP on their hands. They just need to execute it right, get the technical aspects right, and just go for it. That's all for today, but before you go, I want to ask you, do you think that there should be a Days Gone 2, and if you do, why? Thanks for watching everyone, don't forget to comment, rate and subscribe. It's been Mike Redacted, see you in the next one.